Hello. It's time to talk about truth. Hi, my name is Charlotte Eisentrout. I've helped business owners take off the mask and embrace authenticity. I've also helped many other people understand a lot of their own life challenges, and I've um, and a lot of my posts on my personal knowledge and journey with God has really helped a lot of people, and I hope, if you want to check them out, it's on Facebook and Instagram, and they could help you too. um so anyway, let's talk about truth. Truth is one of those funny things where sometimes we need to hear it, but we don't always want to. um Receiving truth and hearing truth are two different things. We can hear that we should do something, but unless we bring it into our minds and say, "Oh, that's a good idea," I will start that, versus, "Oh, that's an idea," and then not go anywhere with it. When I was a spiritual guidance counselor, by the way, I've worked as a business consultant, and I've worked as a business I am currently working as a business mindset coach. But when I was and technically, I guess to some level I'm working. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But um, when I was working almost exclusively as a spiritual guide and counselor for people, I had times where no matter how lovely I made the truth sound and look, and as diplomatic as I could possibly be, the truth was nonetheless something that just people don't want to hear. Not everybody wants to hear the truth. And sometimes that's because the truth can hurt. It can mean the truth, like it can mean change. A lot of people, we say, "Oh, I love change." But then when you actually go into the work of initiating change, it can be very difficult. It can be very difficult. That's not to say that it always is. And just like with truth, sometimes it can be very difficult to accept the truth. And truth is one of those funny things where, like, unlike lying, which I try not to ever do, but I'm no perfect person, Like, I mean, if the Nazis are at your door and you got Jews in the basement, obviously you're gonna say something else, right? But um but no, I've had truths like, okay, for instance, I had a reading with um a lovely lady who really wanted to get back with her boyfriend. And at the time, I was using the physical manifestation so that then what it is that's in my mind is being shown on cards. And so the cards were just not showing that she was going to get back together with her boyfriend. It just wasn't in there, and also I felt it too, right? Like, there's just that intuitive feeling of, and it's like, right? You just know. And I did everything that I could to read the cards correctly, present the information as best and as loving as I possibly could. She did not want to hear it, and therefore she did not want to pay. And because she wasn't hearing what she wanted to hear. Um, Looking back, I know, learning the lesson. Like, I've learned my lesson on how to, ask for that stuff, but, like, because it is a service, it's like, I mean, you asked me to do this. There is an exchange here. Like, I mean, I told you what the truth is. And that's the other thing too, is that I see a lot of, there's a lot of news outlets and social media outlets who want to be very loving and caring. And while I appreciate that, if you're lying to your audience because you're just telling them what they want to hear, you're not telling the truth. And big part of not telling the truth means that now you have a different reality that you have to memorize. And like recently I was watching Breaking Bad, and Walter White, he is constantly having to remember what his lies were. Now, granted, he was doing something illegal, but now, like, that's a stressor. It's a stressor to like just constantly have to remember what it is that you're lying about. And like with authenticity, you gain so much more freedom in accepting truth. And like with that girl who just couldn't let go of her boyfriend, it's like I mean, I even try to tell her, it's like, there's other fish in the sea, and the other thing that I've learned too with my journey with God is that when you let go, God will give you something better. Like, he knows what he's doing. Trust in him, trust in the process. Of course, the devil on violet, but I think it's a Catholic thing. The devil on one side, the angel on the other, or it's two different angels on either side, and one of them's a kind of like a demonic sort of thing, right? Like it depends on what religion like you're like follow or whatever. But every day it's like that. Which one do you follow? Do you follow the good? That's my left. The bad or the good. It doesn't matter which one, right? Because it's like sometimes they flip, just like, you get up on, did you get up on the wrong side of the bed? Whatever. But yeah, like that's like with truth, you know, and and knowing when it is that what is a good time to tell the truth, right? Because there's a lot of times where it's just way more so much more valuable to just be quiet sometimes. Like if somebody's being rude to you, just be quiet, Like you don't need to engage in that. You don't need to engage in that. You don't like there's a point at I really like what Joel Osteen says. He says like there's a point where, if you just keep being yourself, the negative people will just fall away, and and people will see that what they've been saying about you is just wrong and lies. Because eventually the truth will win out. Speaking of truth, the other thing is I grew up as an atheist. That means from 8 years old to 25 years old, I would okay, hum and a humanist and a skeptic. Um, and that was because I was told that. And God had allowed me to go through that so that then when I started to see him and I started to see all the manifestations that he had put into my life, seeing him, like or seeing his presence, being with him, a lot of people will call it like, talking to the Holy Spirit or being with him a lot. Like it is very much like being with Jesus. Like if I'm using these terms so that people understand because my I'm using the word God. Like uh my personal journey has been very much associated with my personal journey with God. And I knew when it is that it was when I was talking to God or when I was talking to an archangel or when I was talking to somebody else. And I'm about I'm over 35 now. So so that's a good 8 years of just really like 8 plus. All right, let's see, 25. So then that's 10 years. So it's because it was 25, that's when the door opened to just understanding God and understanding that God's there. Like, and then it was this slow journey. So actually I'm 36. So it's like about 14 years now of that slow journey of getting to know God and of allowing God into my life. And I wouldn't change it for anything. And I don't really want to get too into it because I I'm God made me sensitive, and I sometimes like I just sometimes I get really emotional and I cry because I really care about things. And and those whose hearts have been hardened do not see that this is genuine. They see it as manipulation. And that's also about truth, right? Is truth, when used correctly, like, I mean, you can use it as negotiation, but it's not manipulation. Authentic, real, honest truth is never about manipulation. It's about stepping up and stepping in to what really is and then accepting that. Um, Trust me, as an atheist, like when I was an atheist, I had a lot of resistance to the fact that I was now a believer in God because beyond, I mean, and I also have an engineering degree, like, and I come from a scientific background, and there's not a lot of people who are there. I know that there is not a lot of people who are able to see in marriage and create a marriage between spirituality and science. Now, there is a huge disconnect between religion and science, but religion is a little bit different than spirituality. So, spirituality is saying, look, you got all these people up there. There's a, or up there or down here, however, you helps you feel comfortable. But there is another world out there, if you will, that is correspondingly existing with ours. It's not necessarily in the physical, so then therefore it's not scientifically, like because our physical science cannot, like, it can kind of measure it by power and energy, but the spiritual realm and the scientific realm is that you're talking energy versus physical stuff, and it's one of those things where the spiritual end can affect the physical end um way more than the physical end can affect the spiritual end. And it's um and there's parallels there, and they kind of go into each other, but like scientifically speaking, there are a lot of things that we don't know about the spiritual world, which to a great extent can be actually a huge blessing, because allowing ourselves to embrace the mysteries that is or could be is hugely just fun. I mean, if you had an explanation for absolutely everything, and you were never challenged, and you were never inspired, and you were never like, oh my gosh, this is a challenge and I need to figure out how to go through this, that, like, yes, there are beings who know a lot more than we do. But I mean, if you consider, because like they've talked about it, like the expanse of the universe is so great that the 1 out of 1 billion possibility of another life existing is actually there, because everything is so expansive. So just consider that, like, even if it's on the other completely other side of the universe, like we have galaxies, we have solar systems, we have universes, but we also have like the concept is like so much greater. So yeah, it is possible. Um, it's possible. Scientifically, it's possible. Like just like how infinity is possible, right? So we could go into yeah, or the limit to an asymptote, right? Like how close does it actually get to zero, right? It never really gets to zero, but it can get very, 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 very close, and it'll never actually touch zero. And I don't know why it is that I say that, but the reason why is it actually has a lot to do with the concept of like infinite universe, right? Like so infinite universe, if we take all these things into account of how rare it actually is that we have life, then yes, it is actually possible to have life on other planets. But again, like our concept, our conceptuals of what with like our what we can conceptualize in our minds is very limited. And so even just saying like, oh yeah, there could be intelligent life out there, like just saying, right? Like it is mathematically possible. Um, that can be really difficult for a lot of people to like, mm, okay, right. Because then they have to wrap their minds around it. Because it get so And then the truth is, too, is that, all right, first of all, years ago, I experienced something called ego death, or excuse me, ego, because I know that YouTube's going to have their little thing. Ego unaliving, all right? Like, ego just went out of here. And, and that's part of truth. The part of the truth is that ego protects us to a lot of extent, but it also protects like even in the scientific community, people want their everybody wants their things to be connected, to be protected, right? Like if you make a scientific discovery, um you don't want to be proved wrong, or just like it's difficult to adjust and change to new ideas and new concepts. um and the truth is understanding that you could be wrong as a scientist or an engineer or a spiritualist like myself or a business mindset coach or even a business consultant, all things that I've been, and all things that I continue to be to some level of extent even today. uh, it can be difficult, and ego death to a lot of extent, like it's actually really, really helpful because then you're like, oh, I was wrong, we can move on. Like, okay, it's all right. The truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. And um, it's like, a lot of people, they ask, what does that really mean? The truth will set you free. What does that really mean? It means that the truth will set you free means that the more that you embrace the truth of who you are, where you are, what you see around you, the more that you'll be able to step in and just be. And like, there's that saying in the Bible, something about, you know, understand, um, God help me understand what I can change, what I can't change, and help me develop the wisdom to know the difference. And the more that you are able to accept what you can't change, the more peace and freedom that you ultimately have. Because life is more than just, being here. Life is so much more than just being here. Life is about improving yourself in any way that you can, even if it's just a little bit each day. And it doesn't even have to be each day, every day. I mean, sometimes you can take a day off, you know? But like and but be kind to yourself. And the truth is like if you sleep enough and you work enough, eventually you'll get to where you need to go. But you need that sleep. Like that's an honest truth. A lot of people think these days, okay, I'm going on a tangent, but that's a part of truth. These are parts of truth. Right now, and what TV had gone through what TV had gone through is this period of time where uh where the concept of truth was started to be changed, right? So um and the concept like entertainment, right? But infotainment is really where the concept of what is truth started to get mucky and messed up, and people started to see that. And so, and even so now, even today, there's a lot of people who are like, what is truth? Or and claiming fake news, or claiming fake news where there is no fake news, or claiming fake news where there is truth, or claiming fake news that, admittedly some things really are fake news, as in lies. And see, the truth eventually wins out. The truth will eventually win out. And even those who like I'm thinking back into history, even those who keep things secret, right? And they write the history books and whatever. Um the truth eventually even will win out then too, because the spiritual realm writes a much different history book than the physical realm. And even then, eventually, the truth wins out. So think about that. Like, and here's the other thing is that here's another truth. Those times where, like, think for yourself. Think of those times where you know something and you don't know why you know something, but you just know it. That comes from your time that you have spent in a different arena, in a different area. I'm trying to be like, it could be a past life, it could be your time in the spiritual realm. A lot of people are going to say, well, like, Charlotte, you're not a true Christian because I don't see myself as a Christian. I use the term Christian because I do like Jesus, I do like God, I do like the Holy Spirit, don't get me wrong, but I'm also like, the truth is that I have had to heal past life experiences. And I remember uh deep down, so this is part of our soul experience, soul being in the alive, spirit being in the other side. Uh that I remember being in with God. I remember making sacraments, making commandments. I remember like I remember coming to God, like a past life in particular that I had that is still really influential to this life now, where I was a warrior. I was very good. And when I came after I died, I came to God and I said, God, I don't feel very good. I need to get back. I need to get back with you. Like, I did everything that I was supposed to do in that life. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I did what God told me to do. But you get to a point, just like with light and dark, where if you are too much in the dark, you eventually want to go to the light. And even now, like even as we're experiencing life, if you find yourself experiencing too much light, eventually you're going to want a little bit of darkness. Like it's a weird thing, and it's not it's a part of experience. It's a part of the experience of not just being human, but also of the flesh. Like, and also of the spiritual realm. I mean, there are all kinds of entities out there. This is truth. This is truth that I know. Okay, there are certain entities you never want to mess with. That nonetheless is always going to be there. And there's also certain entities that are always going to be a lot more brighter and lighter than others. And there's going to be ones that are darker than others. And every what I've seen is that everyone will like go through this sort of, it's like a little pattern. It everybody has a frequency and a wave and a trough and a, yeah, you know, a high point and a low point. And it's like, and just like with history, there's like this, anyway, go into that. That's fun. But we're always like we're always vibrating. So first of all, we're always vibrating and we're always oscillating. So by oscillating, we're always like going out of frequency. We're always go like this is part of energy. It's part of power. It's part of like physical. So physical again, physical and spiritual are actually like very much interconnected. Truth is that a lot of people just don't want to see it because because to consider both takes more understanding and a release of what we want to know, a release of what we want to be true. So the more that we're able to just say, you know, what is, and what I've been shown has been consistent with other people. A lot of other people have had the similar experience. That's how it is that I know that I'm on the right path. A lot of people, like, one of the things that I made sure to do is that I always had some kind of physical manifestation that helped to confirm. And thank you, God, for all the times, even now, because even now, I still have some level of physical confirmation that what it is that I've heard or seen in my spiritual eye or whatever you want to call it is true. So truth will set you free. And the more that you embrace it, the better off your life will be. Um, and the more that you, also as a part of that, the more that you look for truth, the better your life will be. Because gaining understanding can help with forgiveness. So, gaining understanding can help with forgiveness. Because the more that you understand a situation that you might not have wanted to be a part of, the more that you're able to provide that relief, not just to them, but also to yourself, of being able to say, you know what, there stuff happened and it was out of my control. And I wish that it didn't happen or whatever. But or sometimes, you know, you're just at the wrong place at the wrong time. To God, you're at the place at the right time. There are times. Not every time, because if you don't follow God, or if you're intentionally being a rebel to God, again, this is from personal experience, then yes, you're gonna be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But if you follow God and you do what He says, and you follow, you know, He'll keep you. He will keep you. He is your shepherd. He is your shepherd for sure. Um, yeah. So anyway, my name is Charlotte Eisentrout. If you're interested in any kind of events that we have going on, I would love to invite you to them. Just go ahead and look down below this video. It's in the description. I'm sure we have something amazing happening. Again, my name is Charlotte Eisentrout. I'm a transformational business mindset coach, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.